Hey friends, it's Carrie. Today I'm going to be doing the bookshelf book tag, and this tag was created by Serena at A Wandering Mind, so I will link her video in the description box. I was tagged to do this by my book buddy John at Hey Y'all Listen Up, so I will also link his video in the description box as well. And he called me out again in his tag over this issue that just will not die, and you guys might know what it is. Candy corn. Okay, so I feel like I have to address this at the beginning of this video. I'm gonna pop up a picture here because a couple weeks ago, this was maybe a few days before Thanksgiving, I had someone who will remain nameless come to my house with a surprise for me. And the surprise was a bag of candy corn. They were still selling candy corn at the local convenience stores well into November. So one of two things is happening, guys. Either all of you folks who claim to love candy corn so much, you don't love it that much because there was still a lot on the shelves, or it really is just that popular, and I underestimated the popularity of candy corn. I don't know which it is, but I feel like because it's, nearing Christmas, we're in the holiday spirit, we should let this candy corn debate rest until next year. I'm very tempted because I found a very informative article about candy corn, and I'm very tempted to link it in the description box, but I won't do it because I'm not gonna ruin it for you folks out there who love candy corn. Let's get into this tag. So the first question is, how many bookshelves do you have? I currently have 6 that are in use. Number 2 is, how many books are on your bookshelves, or how many books do you think you have? And I did do kind of a rough count, a rough estimate before I started this tag, and I think I have around 300 books in the house right now. Number 3 is, how do you organize your books? I do organize my books by topic generally. My husband has a lot of books as well, and he tends to move his books around a lot and keep them in piles and stacks, and so there is one section that remains fairly organized, and that is the JFK section, but other than that, it's generally by topic. But I don't organize my books at home like I would my books in the library. I don't adhere to the Dewey Decimal System here at home or anything like that, or organize my fiction by author's last name. And I have downsized a lot. We moved about a year ago, and so we Goodwilled and thrift stored a ton of books, boxes and boxes and boxes of books. And I actually had a set of encyclopedias as well, John, so you're not the only one out there who liked having a set of print encyclopedias, but I did finally let go of those just because I knew we would be moving a couple of times probably in the next year or two, and I just didn't want to have to lug around that set of encyclopedias, so I had to let them go. But so I have substantially downsized, so I don't know how many cool, fun books I will have to show you on this tag, but hopefully there's something here that you'll find of interest. Number 4 is, what is the oldest book on your bookshelf? The oldest book on my bookshelf is this book here, PT 109, John F. Kennedy in World War II by Robert J. Donovan. And date on this one is 1961. And this is actually a book club edition, which is kind of neat. Number 5 is, what is the newest book on your bookshelf? The newest book on my bookshelf is actually a library book, and it is Harrow Lake by Kat Ellis. The publication date on this one is 2020. It's set at Harrow Lake, which is the setting for the main character's father's most recent horror film that he directed. And so maybe in December I will get to this one. Number 6 is what is the longest book on your bookshelf? And the longest book on my bookshelf is something from the government printing office. And no, it's not the Warren Report, but it is something related to John F. Kennedy. It is the memorial addresses delivered in Congress in honor of John F. Kennedy. And this tops out at about 890 pages, not including the index. Number 7 is what is the shortest book on your bookshelf? The shortest book on my bookshelf is The Night Before Christmas, which is a little golden book classic, and this is not the original book I had as a child. I'm not sure what happened to that one. It didn't look quite like this one. But my husband did get me this a few years back because I do enjoy reading this book on Christmas Eve. Number 8, what is the predominant genre on your bookshelf? The predominant genre is definitely nonfiction, and I would say it's definitely now John F. Kennedy, but probably about a year ago, it was Civil War. I used to work at a Civil War battlefield, so I did have quite a few Civil War books. Number 9 is have you done a bookshelf tour? No, because since I've downsized, I don't really see the need of doing a bookshelf tour. I don't know that I have enough really to show. So this is probably as close as my channel will get to a bookshelf tour. Number 10 says go to a random number generator and talk about the book that corresponds with that number. So I went ahead and did this before I started the video. I will go ahead and skip down to the book that it chose, which is this book right here, which is the library copy of The Art of Civilized Conversation, a guide to expressing yourself with style and grace by Margaret Shepard with Sharon Hogan. And the author is also the author of The Art of the Handwritten Note. I brought this home because I thought it would be something good to read for Nonfiction November, and I didn't quite fit it in, so I might try to work it into my December TBR. I thought this would be something good to read because I've always struggled with expressing myself verbally. I feel more comfortable writing out my thoughts because I have a little more time to polish them, and I've struggled with my accent a little bit, and so I've really tried to polish that up, and so I thought this would be kind of an interesting read. So it talks about different social scenarios at a cocktail hour, in a waiting room, in an elevator, how to handle yourself, also how to make people feel important, how to interact with people that maybe you don't necessarily get along with, how to interact with people at work, how to interact with people in social situations that might be awkward, and things like that. So I thought this book might be helpful in all aspects of someone's life, professional and personal, and that's about all I can tell you about it because I haven't read it yet. So maybe if I get to read it in December, I'll do a video on it. If I learn a few things from it, hopefully you'll be able to tell from the quality of my videos that I've learned to communicate and converse a little bit better. Number 11 says, do you have any fan merch or other decoration on your bookshelf? Well, obviously, you guys have probably noticed I do have quite a few John F. Kennedy items and collectibles from the 1960s on my bookshelves. I did get a really neat poster as a Christmas gift that I do want to mention. If you look behind me here, this Best 100 Books of All Time poster is a scratch-off poster. And as you read the books, you scratch off the ones that you've read. A really good friend of mine named Amanda, thank you Amanda, got that for me. And I had so much fun scratching off the books. I think I'm going to incorporate this poster into my 2021 reading plans. So I think I'm going to try to read 21 more of those books. I've read 23 of the 100. I do have a little bit of a problem with the 100 best books of all time. I think that's very subjective. You know, any list, I don't know that there's, too much value in sticking to lists, but there are definitely a lot of really great classics on this list, and I'm always game to read some classics. So I think that will be a really fun way to up my reading game in 2021. Under where that poster is, I typically keep a lot of Kennedy campaign buttons. My two personal favorites are the PT-109 campaign button, styled after the patrol boat that Kennedy commanded in World War II in the Solomon Islands. And I also have on my blue bookshelf my 45 container and a stack of other 45s that I don't have a container for. I also have some of my Kennedy scrapbooks that friends have given to me over the years that they have found at antique stores. One of those scrapbooks was actually compiled by a gentleman named Gerald Perry, and he was working on a book about Kennedy collectors, people who were, like me, kind of interested in collecting and researching and studying John F. Kennedy. And so I cannot find where he ever actually published this book, but I have had a good time searching through it and reading interesting little tidbits. And I love collecting magazines and TV guides and different little bits of ephemera from the 1960s era, because I think you can learn a lot from the advertisements and things like that you don't necessarily learn from reading nonfiction. I think that you really can gain some perspective and get a personal insight into the era, and it's fascinating to me. I also have some Kennedy memorial records at the bottom and a few other records. I also have the set of Funkin' Wagnall yearbooks from the 1960s. So I don't have the encyclopedias anymore, but I actually do have the yearbooks from the early 1960s. On one of my bookshelves, I do have a magnetic doll that one of my friends purchased for me at a toy store because they thought it looked like me. They were shopping with their kids and they thought it looked like me, so they bought it for me, and it's just kind of a funny joke. On another bookshelf, I have a remote control Bismarck model of the PT-109 German U-boat. I have obviously the G.I. Joe of John F. Kennedy with the coconut. I've often searched for a replica of the coconut that Kennedy wrote his rescue message on, and I haven't been able to find one, so I would be interested to find one of those. This is as close as I've been able to get to it, is the little replica coconut piece in the John F. Kennedy G.I. Joe. Number 12 is Show Us Your Bookshelf. So on this bookshelf here, as you can see, we have my Kennedy collection. I also have in a couple of places books that are either from the library or books that I have borrowed from various people. So I do have kind of a mixture of different types of books, some young adult books, some mysteries, some classics thrown in there, and a couple of series that I'm hoping to get to as well. On this bookshelf, the Kennedy collection continues. We have some World War II books, the Richard J. Evans collection on the Third Reich, U-boat books, some fictional World War II books. One of my favorites there, The Moon is Down by John Steinbeck. On this bookshelf, we have some Dean Koontz, Sherlock Holmes, Craig Johnson from the Longmire series, some Agatha Christie, some Civil War titles. And then the last bookshelf here, this is mostly my husband's books. So this is a hunting and fishing and outdoors books. There are quite a few manuals in here, from carpentry manuals, plumbing manuals, all sorts of kind of technical sort of things. And then we have some magazines, various pamphlets and things like that that are collected in magazine holders. So number 13 is tag someone. I'm going to tag 3 people. The first person I'm going to tag is Dina at Books Yada Yada, because she is one of the most entertaining people on BookTube. So I can't imagine that she could do a video that wasn't funny and entertaining. So obviously there's that, and I want to see her bookshelves. The second person that I'm going to tag is Jane at Lady Jane Books, and she is so classy and put together. I can't imagine her bookshelves won't be classy and put together as well. So I'm really interested to see those. And the last person I'm going to tag is Brian at Bookish, because he does a lot of tags, and he may have done this one already. I couldn't find it, but if he's done it, I apologize. Brian reads a ton of nonfiction, and I can see behind him he has a lot of bookshelves, and his bookshelves look like my bookshelves used to look. They're books on top of books. So I'm really curious to see what he has back there. And since he reads a lot of nonfiction, I'm assuming he has some really cool merchandise or collectibles or something on top of his bookshelves. I can't really see what's back there, so I'm really curious. So no pressure, but if you three are interested in doing this tag, please do. I had a great time doing this tag. I was a little bit overwhelmed, but I think I got it done. I hope it was halfway decent. Thanks for tagging me, John, and no hard feelings on the candy corn because it's the holidays, so we're going to let the issue rest. Until next year, that is. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. And don't forget to check out all the channels that I link in the description box. If I didn't tag you and you're interested in doing this tag, please feel free. And if you do it, make sure you put a comment on this video so I can see your video as well. Bye, guys.